Hello friends, this is Petradot. Thank you for tuning in. Hypocrite. This is a word that nobody wants to be called because a hypocrite is someone who says they believe certain things but they don't really practice them. And while everyone falls into this category at some point, it really stands out when it comes to Christians. Because let's face it, the people that make Christianity look the worst are those who say they believe a certain thing, but they don't practice what they preach. So in this video, I'll talk about 10 ways that hypocritical Christians make Christianity look bad. Number 1, hypocritical Christians pick and choose what to follow from the Bible. Now, as Christians, we base our beliefs and lifestyle on the Bible. But unfortunately, you'll often find some who are very staunch and dogmatic about certain Bible teachings while completely ignoring others. And as I go through the other 9 points, you'll see how this is clearly true. But no, if a Christian knows the truth of the Bible, but they pick and choose what they want to follow, that person is considered a hypocrite. Number 2, hypocritical Christians claim to love God, but they treat others badly. Love is what Jesus taught, and as Christians, we love to talk about the love God has for us. But sometimes we have problems sharing that love with others, and you'll find that there are Christians, or those who claim to be Christians, that can be just plain rude, hateful, impatient, and vengeful. They have no problem cutting people off on the highway, cursing someone out, picking on someone, or just being plain hateful. But you know, this type of Christian does not correctly represent Jesus Christ at all. Number 3, hypocritical Christians act holy at church, but don't live holy the rest of the week. God's word tells us to be holy, and that means that our lives and our attitudes and our behaviors should be patterned after what God says is right. And for a Christian, this should be a given. But the sad reality is that there are many who claim to be saved and sanctimonious while they're at church. But as soon as they leave the doors of the church, it's like they don't even know who God is. Cursing, swearing, lying, promiscuous living, and even the type of entertainment that they choose to enjoy may leave you puzzled and confused about the way a Christian should really be. Number 4, hypocritical Christians say that their body is God's temple, but they abuse it. I think most Christians are guilty of this, to be honest, because as humans, we enjoy doing things that make us feel good. But not everything that makes us feel good is good for us. And that's why God tells us that in whatever we eat or drink or do, it must bring praise and glory to Him. Now, we're all familiar with the harmful effects of drinking, smoking, and drug use, but we often don't think the same is true of overeating or not exercising or putting things into our body that are harmful to our health. And because of this lack of attention to caring for our body, which is God's temple, we often find ourselves in less than optimal health or with avoidable illnesses. Now, it's not to say that we'll never get sick if we care for our body, but it is our duty as Christians to present our bodies well cared for to God. Sadly, many Christians fall short in this area, and once again, that can cast a negative light on the religion of Jesus Christ. Number 5, hypocritical Christians want God to provide for them, but refuse to help others. Now, it's always shocking to me to hear some so-called Christians just flat out refuse to help those who are in need. But the Bible is rife with examples and scriptures of how God asked His people to care for those that were less fortunate. But still you find these stubborn believers refusing to open their wallets. These Christians are the best at rationalizing why they shouldn't help someone even if they have a legitimate need. But that's not the way that God would do things. And that's what makes these types of Christians hypocrites. Number 6, hypocritical Christians make a difference between what they call big sins and small sins. Now, in all my time studying the Bible, I have yet to find where God calls a sin small. In fact, all sin is sin to God. It's all offensive to Him. But some Christians make a big deal about sins like murder and adultery, while they may even participate in sins like gossip and pride. All sin is sin to God, and when we as Christians say the opposite, we make Christianity look bad. Number 7, hypocritical Christians want God to look at their heart, but they judge others' motives. So many of us are guilty of doing this, to be honest, because for some reason we're always focused on others and what they're doing. But God says for us to love others, to care for others, and leave the judgment to Him. Now, this doesn't mean that we should be blind to the wrong things that people do. We should definitely hold people accountable. But what it does mean is that we can't judge the motives of their heart or condemn them to hell. I found that hypocritical Christians love to judge others' motives, but that is not what God asked us to do. Number 8, hypocritical Christians take issue with someone's race or culture. God is a God of love and diversity. The Bible tells us that God made all nations from one blood. And it also tells us that He loved the whole world so much that He gave us Jesus. Yet there are some so-called Christians who take issue with other people just because they're a different race or nationality. But I find it ironic that these people forget that Jesus actually lived as a Middle Eastern man. A Christian who can't love people of all races as God has created them is not a true follower of Jesus Christ. Number 9, hypocritical Christians want God's forgiveness, but they won't let go of their grudges. Forgiveness is a huge deal for Christians because we know we're sinners and we can't do without God's forgiveness. But when it comes to forgiving others, that's where the struggle comes in. You know, Jesus taught forgiveness in the most graphic way. He forgave people that hurt Him in the worst way. And you know what? He is our example. Since Christ is our example, we should do the same. Now, this doesn't mean that we shouldn't hold people accountable for the wrong things that they've done. We definitely should hold them responsible. That's even in the Bible. But what it's saying is that we shouldn't hold a grudge, which is basically resentment, hate, and ill will towards a person for things that they've done to us. A Christian who doesn't forgive doesn't truly represent Christ. Number 10, hypocritical Christians don't care about nature or this earth that God has given us. This is one that most people don't think about, but it's very valid. God made this earth for us, and He's asked us to take care of it. And despite the ravages that sin has done to this world, Christians should never take the attitude of treating the earth or the animals in a bad way. And God actually takes this really seriously. In the Bible, He says that He will destroy those who destroy the earth. And He also says that a righteous man, a good man, cares for his animal. Now, this doesn't mean that we should all become tree huggers. But what it is saying is that as Christians, we should take reasonable steps to treat this earth and its creatures with respect. When we casually litter, start fires, burn out our ozone layer, or kill animals merely for sport, what kind of message does that send to those who don't know Jesus? Now, while there are many hypocritical Christians out there, I'm glad that there are true Christians whose aim is to truly follow Christ. No Christian is perfect, but those who are serious about their relationship with God are always open to learning and growing. And that's the first step in truly being like Jesus Christ. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please check out my channel for other videos similar to this. If you have found value in what I've been sharing, please share this video with others, like and subscribe to my channel. Until next time, take care, God bless, and Maranatha.